Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome to your Diamond Enlightenment reading from the Oracle of the Feather-Crowned Tree. This reading I'm going to do in 3 parts today and publish them all separately. Although it is one big reading, it usually takes about an hour to read the whole thing, so this way you can take it in at different chunks. And there are 3 distinct themes that are intertwined through it, so it makes sense to be able to break it down for you. We will begin with the first segment and also the last segment as they correspond well together, which is the karma and the Dharma aspects of this reading. The reading's especially prevalent for people born during this time. This may prove rather thematic for you throughout the rest of the year or even in your lifetime. But it's also here to give a little emphasis to our Scorpio full moon and the energies that are prior and after it for some time. But of course, it could also serve you if you just happen upon it at any time. So our first card that we're going to take, we're going to do 4 for the karma aspect, is going to be from the Moon Oracle. And we have Demeter for it. And I'll just be reading from the guidebooks for us today. So she is a red goddess representative of Virgo and Earth. The motherly figure of the goddess Demeter stands in an attitude of supplication, her arms raised to the heavens. Her cloak of red and green emulates the colors of fire and earth. Entwined with corn, her hair curls down and around her voluptuous body. Around her waist is the girdle of motherhood, which also combines fire and earth colors. From the earth beneath grow corn and poppies, both plants traditionally associated with her. The waves and water droplets below represent the washing of herself in the river Landon after her ravishment by the sea god Poseidon in the guise of a stallion. Beneath the image are the symbol for the earth sun Virgo and the moon disk of the red goddess. This goddess symbolizes the loss of something that one holds dear or is important to you, although eventually what has been lost will be returned. It will be conditional and not quite in the way that you expected. Concerning the question, there may be some trickery involved, and you may have to accept a compromise. Someone will take advantage of your vulnerability. The third of the red goddesses, Demeter, represents maturity and perseverance. Though the application of a systematic approach in aiming for perfection, the nature of Earth and Virgo is to make sure that the requirements of everybody are met so that things can fall into place to suit all concerned. If the Demeter card is selected, then September will be a significant month with regard to this question. The backstory on her is she was one of the ancient popular goddesses symbolizing the Eternal Mother. Her beloved daughter, Persephone, was abducted by the god of the underworld, Hades. Demeter was distraught and immediately set off in search of her offspring. During her travels, she met the overlustful Poseidon. Not appreciating his advances, Demeter changed herself into a mare and hid herself amongst the browsing herd of horses belonging to King Oncus. Poseidon, who was not to be thus deflected from his purpose, changed himself into a stallion, followed her into the herd, and succeeded in achieving his passionate intent. When she realized what had happened, Demeter was understandably furious and got rid of her intense anger by washing it away in the river Latin. Demeter later gave birth to a stallion with a black mane and a strange daughter whose name was not to be mentioned by anyone other than the mysteries. She was referred to as Kor, the girl, while Demeter continued in great sadness to search for her daughter Persephone. The earth was suffering famine. No crops were growing, and all plant life had died. To prevent disaster, Zeus sent Hermes to rescue Persephone, but cunning Hades fed her pomegranate seeds before she left the underworld, making the marriage tie to him permanent. Zeus renegotiated, and eventually it was agreed that Demeter's daughter would live with Hades for only 1/3 of the year. Demeter gave the gift of corn in thanks for those who had helped her. So that should give us some clues about karmic issues that we're dealing with, and we have 3 more cards to also elaborate on this theme. We have the Absinthe Mermaid. A comatose green mermaid is draped in a toxic stream of bottles, skulls, and poisons. She is drugged and lethargic, a slave to her torpid addiction. She seems at risk of being washed away at a moment's notice. Absinthe Mermaid has wallowed in her addiction for too long. She has become languid. You also have spent too long immersed in an addiction or dependence. Addiction and dependence sap one's energy and rob one of vitality and strength. Something in your life, a substance, an obsession, or an unhealthy relationship is draining your life essence, and you need to let it go. Seek assistance from a trusted friend, a wise person in your community, or a professional to help rid you of your unhealthy attachment before it's too late. Once you have escaped, reevaluate your life and take stock of your frailties. What led you down the path of addiction and dependence in the first place? What steps can you take to avoid stumbling down that rabbit hole again? And we'll also take another card from the Sacred Sites deck. We have Karnak. Its energy focus is protection, and it is located in Egypt. In the past, you may have been blinkered, but now the Eye of Horus, the ancient Egyptian protective symbol, allows you to see more clearly. The avenue at the great ancient Egyptian site of Karnak is flanked by statues of Ammon, the ram-headed lion protecting an effigy of Ramesses II, the most celebrated of pharaohs. Ammon combined with the sun god Ra to become the almighty Ammon-Ra. The lion's body represents power, strength, and a relentless fighting spirit, which, coupled with the ram's virility, fearlessness, and drive, make this deity a great protector. What is your protection against those who have hurt you? Do you wear a talisman, perhaps in the form of the Eye of Horus, or another protective symbol? Such a symbol can bring you good health and luck and keep you safe when you open yourself up to higher spiritual vibrations. As you are doing now by working with these cards, protection is even more essential. Perhaps in the past you didn't set boundaries and allowed friends and family to take you for a ride. Learn to say no. And our last card for karma from our past will be from Living with a Feather Heart. We have, I consume only my fair share. The Egyptian creator god Adam was born of the great sea of Nu, the son of primeval waters of chaos. He was a sun alone in darkness. He named himself Ra, a label for the creator of creation, a single sphere of light with only infinite night as his companion. Ra desired more, and thus the Egyptian pantheon of gods and goddesses, Arnetters, arose. Chaos ensued from creation, from desire to dynasty, dynasty to history, history to mythology. From the one came many songs. Creation is bred from both desire and necessity, and in looking at the Egyptian creation myth and what inspired the Godhead to create life forms of life force, we see desire give way for the Creator to create, perhaps out of loneliness, but also from necessity. Consumption is a byproduct of a creative universe. We create what consumes us, and we consume what we create. Loneliness consumes love in order to satiate a hunger for understanding and connection. The night sky consumes the sun in order for the stars to shine, much as the sun consumes the night in order for life to grow. Creation was consumed with the notion of life as a way to understand itself. Yet life is fleeting and eventually returns to its source. The modern world lends itself to a dimming of the light of creation, as advertisements play to automations in a wakeless sleep. Yet wakefulness occurs when we rekindle our desires and remember what gave way to the ignition of the pulse of the world. Past, present, and future desires are a prism containing the infinite poetry of the same great stories. But satisfaction comes not by what we consume, exhaust, or destroy, but from what our relationship to our desires can illuminate. In looking at the lesson, I consume only my fair share, we must ask if what we are consuming or consumed by feeds creation or nourishes destruction, and if we are overindulging by feeding the ego instead of nourishing the soul. Consumption encompasses more than food. It carries over to metaphorical mana, the nourishment of the spirit that permeates all living beings. The scales of truth are balanced when the weight of your share intends to satisfy a pure desire instead of devour the density of darkness. When your desires glow from a space in the heart, that light is shared and felt by all. Now we're going to move into the second part of this reading, which is the Dharma portion, dealing with our life's true purpose. This also has 4 cards, and our first one is from the Celtic Shamans deck. We have the Seeress. A cloaked female figure watches the horse like spirits who surround her. Between her hands is a golden spindle. Its keyword is prophecy. The seeress captures the vision of both past and future, seeing how the threads of the web of creation are spun, and where each person stands upon them. Her visionary powers are remarkable, and she can advise on the best course of action in any given situation. Her web is woven with the threads of destiny, and she gives prophetic information by way of inspired oracle. Joining this card, we have Isis, very powerful, from our Egyptian deck. Isis, the Holy Queen, Mother of us all, embodied manifestation of love. Isis and her husband Osiris ruled the fertile lands of Egypt during the first times. Isis was beloved of all the people whom she served as midwife and as teacher of weaving and the healing arts. It was because of her great capacity to love and her skill in the magical arts that she was able to raise her murdered husband to conceive their son, Horus, so that he could restore the enlightened reign of his father. Isis is the pure, clear essence of spirit embodied in matter. She is always with us on this journey as a loving, supportive force through every transformation we undergo. Isis remembers us when we die, the shaman's death. She makes us whole again, and she urges us forth into a new incarnation, a new way of being at a higher octave of consciousness. She is the queen of both heaven and earth, and unfolds her multicolored wings to bring a rainbow bridge of love between the worlds of form and formlessness. If you have chosen this card, Isis will see into the heart of the matter that you have brought before her to dispel confusion and allow clarity to emerge. She will show you how to bridge the personal with the transpersonal, as above, so below. Isis is committed to renewal and regeneration. She assists you in seeing the both and rather than the either or in whatever situation you are involved with. As you merge with Isis, allow yourself to feel the embrace of the Great Mother as her rainbow wings surround and envelop you. Notice how in her embrace she balances and attunes the chakras. Listen for her voice within as she offers you encouragement. Isis loves you regardless of what is happening in the world or in your life, and connects you in a powerful way to your own self-love. Our next card will be from the Secret Language of Light, and we have Insight. Refine your psychic senses. You are, or about to, see further, higher, and deeper through space and time. Your psychic skills are expanding and seen through the lens of your soul. Hone your abilities by reading about or doing a workshop on intuitive development. We are all psychic. It is part of who we are. But we have to thrust this ability into the background in favor of other senses. Problems occur when we keep looking at the manifested world for proof of our worth. You could become an intuitive reader if this is something you desire. It could also mean that you are learning to trust what you feel, and the next steps to take will drop you into your mind in the following days. And our last card, our crowning card, concerning our Dharma, and really the crown of the entire three-part reading, is from the White Light Oracle, and we have Perfume of Sophia. Trust that your questions about your life will be answered. Even now, you are in the process of working your way toward the answers that will bring you clarity and a higher understanding. There is a kindness in how the universe delivers a message. There is a story of 3 rabbis who went into a room and saw God. One rabbi dropped dead, the other went crazy, and the third one became enlightened. It was the same room and the same divine presence, so what accounts for the different outcomes? When we are ready for knowledge, divine guidance is incredibly helpful and healing. However, we may need certain experiences to become ready. There is as much grace in veiling a truth as in revealing it. There is a beautiful Sufi teaching that destiny is granted with compassion. There is a time to prepare for knowledge, a time to receive it, and a time to live it. There is a danger in trying to force knowledge. Force is the desire to progress faster than is naturally taking place. It is a disconnection from natural rhythms, the sacred feminine, the power of knowing and divine timing. The oracle of the perfume of Sophia asks you to trust your nose. The spiritual symbolism of the ability to smell is the capacity for discernment. In the words of Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. The nose knows. If you are pushing for a resolution, an answer, an understanding before it is time for you to know, you'll feel frustrated. It will be more constructive and enjoyable for you to engage with what is. Will it require the development of your character, the capacity for patience, for trust and faith, for commitment and devotion, even when there is no evidence? You shall succeed. Yes, likely it shall, especially if you are carving a path that is unique and creative. To live such a way is wonderfully courageous and inspired and requires spiritual maturity. Aligning yourself with a greater wisdom and timing and surrendering yourself in its service is the basis of spiritual maturity. You will have your answers, and in the interim, you are doing beautifully. Continue with your journey. And that concludes the first part of this reading. I am so grateful that you joined me. Please feel free to check out any of the other readings I have available. And I do hope that you will join me again sometime very soon. Please stay blessed and take good care. Much love to you.